What is up, everybody? Welcome to MMA Fighting's post-fight show for UFC Vancouver. I am the bad boy, Alexander K. Lee, and I am joined by Vancouver's own Shakiel Mahjouri of MMAmania.com. Shakiel, how are you feeling tonight after tonight's events at Rogers Arena in Vancouver, British Columbia?
I gotta say, first and foremost, humbled, privileged to be here with the man, the myth, the legend himself, Alexander K. Lee.
Please.
It was a good night, man. You know, top to bottom, this card looked a little weak outside of the main event. I thought so. A lot of great fights, a lot of high caliber fights, but in terms of name value, not the most exciting for the casual. Of course, that Donald Cerrone, Justin Gaethje fight makes up for everything, and boy, did it deliver.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Look, we got a first round finish. Maybe it's not what everyone wanted. Maybe they would like to see a bit of a longer fight, between two of MMA's most exciting fighters. But it was certainly conclusive. Justin Gaethje came out looking like $1 million.
Exactly.
Donald Cerrone, great attitude. What did you think of the fight itself and how it went after?
And so that's the thing, this isn't going to go down as that fight of the year candidate that people were hoping for, but I think what we really got out of it was two UFC stars. Donald Cerrone, humble and gracious in defeat. He's really, as he's opened up to the media and to the public more and more, he's really crafting this niche for himself as one of the all-time great characters of MMA. For Justin Gaethje, we have someone who I've always thought very highly of, but I think when he got into the UFC, he was more, at least publicly, concerned with the money and the action fights, that for some reason, despite always picking him to win, I never considered him as a potential UFC champion. All that has been laid to rest, man. He is ready for the winner of Tony and Khabib should that fight materialize.
It's funny. Justin was kind of all business after. He was in a good mood. He won. He was in a chill, good mood. Cerrone is all smiles after for a guy who just got knocked out and a stoppage that had a little bit of controversy. Referee Jerome Rollell maybe a little indecisive with the call, but otherwise Cerrone was all smiles. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that Cerrone's all positivity? He's got Danger with him on his shoulder. His boy Danger, but Gaethje. Kind of cool. I'm not jumping for joy over this win. What do you think there was that difference in moods?
Well, it's exactly what you said. It's Danger, We've seen Daddy Cerrone, as people call him, really put together a nice run in the UFC. Yeah, he's hit another skid, but I think having his kid has really put things into perspective for him. He still loves to fight. He knows he wants to be here and he has to do this for the long run, but I don't think he's so worried about it anymore, Once you have a kid, that becomes a priority. He loves to fight, but he only loves to fight now. I don't think he's so concerned with all the politics, with the matchmaking, with the training. I think he's just here for the ride and is enjoying it now.
Now, you said Gaethje should be next for the winner of still yet to be booked Tony Ferguson and Khabib Nurmagomedov match. We all want to see that one, of course. But for Cowboy, do you think it's time for his next fight maybe take someone outside of the top 15, or do you think we see him take another tough fight right in that Shark Tank of the lightweight contenders?
Here's the issue. Well, Donald said earlier this week that as he's getting older, the lightweight cut is getting harder and harder for him. So I'm not entirely sure whether he's going to stay at 155. I think he'll bounce around.
You think he'll do 170 in his next appearance?
If the fight makes sense. He's a gamer. I don't think he's going to turn down a fight if it interests him. It's hard to say because every time Donald starts losing fights, starts losing to the very elite, we say that he's not championship material or he's peaking. But he comes back, and everything he does is more impressive than what he did before. That Al Iaquinta fight was amazing. I think very highly of Al, and I think a lot of fight fans do. So for him to piece up Al over 5 rounds shows that he's for sure elite. Did he lose to Tony? Yes. Did he lose to Justin? Yes. Will he be champion one day? I don't know. But Donald's a gamer, and any day of the week, he could put it on a top 15 opponent.
Certainly any day of the week, he can do that. Any day of the week, Justin Gaethje can knock anyone out.
Oh, my God.
Gaethje wins by knockout. Not a surprise at all. The co-main event, light heavyweight bout between Glover Teixeira, perennial contender, and Nikita Krylov, that went to a split decision victory. Very, very entertaining fight. But for Krylov, never been to a finish before in 30. This was his 32nd pro fight, so first time he's ever gone to the judges. Glover Teixeira has something like 25 finishes in his career. He almost never goes to the judges, at least when he wins. Was that surprising? Did you find the co-main event surprising?
I had a hunch that they would finish. Someone would get to finish just for the finish rate. But a lot of times when you get two fighters with that expectation behind them, you do go to a decision because they're both so tough. They're both so good everywhere. And in some ways, it cancels it out. You saw Teixeira and Nikita exchange positions on the ground, exchange momentum on the feet. What I really love about the dynamic, though, of the light heavyweight division in particular is you have this sort of rising tide of new, interesting light heavyweights, but you also have these old guards really updating and upgrading their skill set, because Glover Teixeira is still very elite. Anthony Smith completely revitalized at 205. Jan Blachowicz doing incredible things for himself too. So it's an interesting time for light heavyweight, because we're not just seeing the young guys come in and sweep over the competition. Misha Serkinov, submission of the year performance over Jimmy Crute. So I think there's a lot of really interesting diversity right now at 205.
Yeah, look, Teixeira's been in the top 5 like forever.
Forever.
And you know, the last thing he ever wants to ever do any of his fights is campaign. He's won 3 straight fights. He has leverage. He should be calling for someone.
I know, and it's strange. You know, Glover's just not that kind of guy. But
No.
what's funny is there's a curse to losing to John Jones. John Jones is this god at light heavyweight. And once you lose to John Jones, maybe with the exception of
like a Cormier.
well, even Cormier after 2, it's a little hard. Despite
the second one,
Yeah, Gustafsson following the rematch, that's shot. But there's this general thing where when you lose to John Jones, people don't really look at you anymore, because John Jones for a long time has been so dominant that if you lose to him, they're like, you're never going to be a champion, especially when Glover's so much older than Jones. Nonetheless, he's close to a title shot. It's well within the realm of possibility that we see Glover get another match, depending on how things go with John Jones, a rumored move to heavyweight, and whoever else is mixing up the light heavyweight division.
Now, Shaq, before we move on to the rest of the card, though, very quickly, what do you think is next for Glover? Do you think it's one of the young up-and-comers like a Dominic Reyes or like a Johnny Walker, or one of these new middleweights coming up, Chris Weidman, who's fighting Reyes, Luke Rockhold, Jacare, he's also booked. But what do you think is going to happen for Teixeira next?
Glover is a sweet, sweet man. And so if the UFC doesn't
really
give him
is.
a good fight, they're doing a disservice to him, because he's fought 3 up-and-comers and he's beaten them all. He's not a gatekeeper. He's a legit elite light heavyweight, and I think he should be treated as such. His next fight, I hope, is a top 5 opponent. Or, like you said, I don't know about Luke Rockhold following that Jan loss if he comes back. I think the winner of Weidman, Dominic Reyes makes sense. At the same time, Dominic says that he's been told he's getting a title shot should he beat Weidman. So who knows? But he definitely deserves a fighter of that caliber.
And Shaq, we all know when the UFC matchmakers and Dana White, when they say something, that is going to happen for sure. That is set in stone. So I guess we can rule out a Dominic Reyes or Chris Weidman match with Glover Teixeira, unfortunately. Quick rundown of the rest of an eventful card. Heavyweight Todd Duffy coming back from first fight in 4 years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his bout with Jeff Hughes ended in no contest. Tristan Connolly upsetting Michelle Pereira in a catchweight bout. Uriah Hall winning a very, very tough and bloody fight against his good buddy Antonio Carlos Jr.
Yes.
And Misha Serkinov pulling off a Peruvian necktie.
Incredible.
Against the
Finish from Mount.
unbeaten Jimmy Crute. So what from the main card really jumped out at you, Shaq?
It's got to be Tristan Connolly, man. I don't know. I can't tell you how people outside of this arena feel, but it was absolutely electric. And I was telling Tristan, it was the perfect storm, because not only is he the hometown hero, coming in on short notice.
Less than a week.
The size difference is ridiculous. It was
at least 15
David
pounds.
Goliath,
At least 15 pounds
100%.
difference.
But he had the perfect dance partner here, no pun intended, because in Michelle Pereira, you had someone who is super exciting. A lot of the wacky, crazy stuff that he does draws a reaction from the crowd. So they're already hot. They're red hot for him. And then when Tristan mounts this big, crazy offense, white hot.
Yeah,
through the roof.
Look, Pereira came out playing all the greatest hits. I mean, I know he's only that one fight, but a lot of people watched that first fight. He was doing the Rolling Thunder. He was doing the backflip. You know, he again, he's playing taking care of business. You know, Bachman turn overdrive right out of the gate.
Yeah.
And then Tristan Connolly comes in like a jazz solo. You know what I mean? Out of nowhere, kind of just spoiling the party for everyone. But really putting on a super exciting fight. I say spoiled, but that fight was really incredible and one of the best stories of the year, probably.
And what I think the cherry on the top here is 100,000 richer.
Yes.
Gets fight of the night, gets his half, 50K.
That's right.
Gets his opponent's half,
Pereira
50K.
missed weight, yes.
Plus 20% of his opponent's purse because he missed weight. I would like to touch quickly, Pereira. I feel like there's going to be a lot of slack on him online now saying he's a viral sensation. He's peaked. That's as good as he can get. I think that's all wrong. We see it with a lot of fighters that come in with a lot of hype from the regional scene, especially people who kind of stand out for their in-ring behavior, whether it's all action and Justin Gaethje or kind of crazy capoeira style that he has. It's not that it won't work. I think, and let me tell you, I am in no way qualified to talk about any game plan or any strategy. It's just about touching it up. You know, Justin Gaethje, when he came in, I think he was a little headstrong with his approach to MMA. He hasn't changed his approach. He's just refined it. He's eased back on the gas pedal when it makes sense, but he's the same guy. And I think for Michel Pereira, it's the same thing. It's not that he can't do all this capoeira stuff. It's that he has to pick when it's appropriate to do it, how much to do it, and how to sort of measure that gas tank all throughout. So I think he's going to come back looking good.
I agree. And just to continue my musical metaphor, which I know our viewers are appreciating, I think his next album, it's going to be that, when that artist goes back to his roots. He got a little crazy. He went a little Kanye West. He kind of lost it a little bit, and now he's got to go back to his roots, back to the Michel Pereira, who hopefully is a winning fighter. Maybe it's at 170, maybe it's 185. I think 170 is still possible, but definitely great performance by Connolly tonight. Not to take anything away from just because whatever happened with Pereira. Give credit to Connolly. I feel like he could have beaten a lot of people tonight with that performance. It was absolutely outstanding. I don't want to gloss over Misha Serrano's Peruvian necktie because that was amazing. Like I said, very, very rare submission.
Chef's kiss.
It was awesome.
Chef's kiss.
But the one I want to talk about from the main card, Uriah Hall. I think we've said this about Uriah before because he has shown so many flashes in the past. But it did feel like he matured. This was such a tough fight.
100%.
He was facing one of the best jiu-jitsu practitioners in all of MMA. And look, I know he had to kind of rat out the last round. It wasn't a great finish, but I do feel he comfortably won the first two, so that's fine. And again, it survived some very, very dangerous situations against a friend of his. Even the way he handled the media this week. He's had a contentious relationship with the media before. Maybe that's why I'm being so nice. But he was all smiles, giving great answers. Oh, look, Uriah Hall has been billed as a star since he was on The Ultimate Fighter. It's not too late. I know he's been in the UFC a long time. I think this was appearance number 15 or 16. So sure, we're familiar with him. But you never know when a fighter really does turn that corner and start climbing up the ranks. So maybe I'm being fooled again, but I did think Uriah's performance tonight was great, and that who knows, maybe we do see him get that dream fight with Adesanya someday. Oh,
and I want to touch on Uriah because he got a lot of slack early in his career for the mental part of the game.
He did.
But you got to commend how far he's come, because I can tell you from talking to him in the past that he has put so much energy and so much emphasis on working on his, I don't know what you want to call it, mental fortitude, mentality, just his own psychology. You can get so skilled and so refined in the gym, but man, is the mind a hard thing to change. And that takes dedication. Anyone who wants to improve their mindset, it's just like going to the gym. You got to put in the reps. You got to be committed. And I can tell he has put so much energy and so much effort into working on his mindset. And that's super commendable because he's always been a tremendous athlete. And I feel like he's getting a lot of confidence because he's shown himself, look, I know I'm a killer in the ring, but now I'm a killer up here too. And I'm really excited. I was really happy to see him.
Yeah, it was a really great night for him. It was a pretty solid night overall, I felt, top to bottom. Shaq, was there anything from the prelims that kind of jumped out at you that you felt that was maybe notable?
Let me just take a gaze here at your laptop.
Well, we had Augustus Sakai with a very quick first round knockout, sub 1 minute knockout.
Oh my God, looking incredible,
3-0 in the UFC now.
I remember when he was in Bellator. His only loss, I think, is a split decision to Czech Congo, which is... Thanks to them for... Yeah, you see, we have fact checkers back here. Producers in are here to let us know what's up. He's always looked great. I was waiting for him to get into the UFC. I didn't realize how young he was. 28 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
He's young, yeah.
Yeah, he's got great head on his shoulders. He's performing phenomenally. Fight to fight, he's getting better. Marcin Tybura is super game. You'll remember that he had Derek Lewis in a lot of danger before losing that fight. And so he's another one of these heavier guys who's helping to revitalize the division. And I like that he was asked about a potential Greg Hardy fight. He's like, nah. That's fine, and that's the right answer.
He's a football player.
Yeah, he deserves. Sakai deserves a top 15 opponent, or I guess now a top 10 opponent, without a doubt.
I'll just give a quick shout out to the other finish from the prelims, Luis Smoka, who's in a second run with the UFC, former flyweight guy, super exciting. I kind of had to bounce back in the regional scene, and then he went 1-1 in his second run to start. Now he won tonight. Now 2-1 in the UFC. He thought his back was to the wall. He got a first round TKO. Yeah. I don't think we'll see Smoka leaving the octagon anytime soon. So, Shaq, again, overall impressions of the card. You think it was a great night for the fans of Vancouver?
I think it was a lot of fun. Top to bottom, there were some good fights. I like it. We start with a little bit of heartache. I know the Canadians didn't perform up to par, but then Tristan Connolly, apologies, absolutely destroyed it. Like, the crowd was waiting for that one person to really bring it home, and he delivered in a big, big way. I think, at least from gauging the reaction locally, he's the breakout star of this whole thing. I don't know how that translates on TV, but if you didn't know, you know now. That's the case.
You are from Vancouver. I'm sensing a little bias.
Honestly, I don't pay a whole lot of attention to local MMA. I wish I did more. I wasn't going
to tell people that. I was saying you were the expert.
I love you all. Shout out to James Lynch because he makes sure everyone is up to game on the local MMA scene. And you had Oscar Wilson on the preview show, right?
Yeah, we don't talk about him anymore.
I was going to say, this is a big upgrade.
But yeah, I mean,
shout out to Oscar. We love you, man.
I mean, 1 is a bigger number than 0, so yeah. I mean, no, I'm saying we love Oscar Willis. But Shaq, thank you so much for helping tonight and joining us on the MMA Fighting UFC Vancouver Post-Fight show. Please tell people where they can see more of your work.
Man, everywhere. I work for ET Canada, so if you like entertainment, that's the place to go.
Okay, what about MMA, Shaq?
No, I'm just teasing. So you can catch me for live events every month, MMA Mania. Other than that, I write and interview frequently for Bloody Elbows, so you can check out my work there. I've got the Pull No Punches podcast with formerly Ragin' Cajun Johnson, now just Cajun Johnson, so you can check that out every Wednesday on Bloody Elbow Presents and all of Bloody Elbow's platforms. I'm just doing my thing, man. Thank you for inviting me. This has been, I've truly ascended to the greats.
It has been mon plaisir, as they say. Well, not really here, but in other parts of Canada. And as for us, MMA Fighting, you can follow us on Twitter at MMA Fighting, visit us at MMAfighting.com, read all our articles, read all the great work we're doing for us, and hit that subscribe button down below. Me pointing does not do it. You got to click yourself.
Don't forget the notification bell.
Yes,
and help you guys out.
That's right. Thanks for joining us in the Post-Fight show, guys. See y'all later.
See y'all later. See y'all later.
Peace.
That's the best you come up with? There's a reason.
I don't know why I did the Pentagon. Cero, miedo.
Oh, nice. That's a great reference.